Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Kev's Movie Corner. I am Kev and this week we are talking about Swing Time. This movie was released in 1936. It stars Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, and Victor Moore. It's directed by George Stevens. Brief synopsis from IMDb is a roguish gambler dancer named Lucky Garnett is challenged by his fiance's father to come up with $25,000 to prove he's worthy of her hand. But after he falls in love with a dance instructor, Lucky will do anything to keep from earning the bucks. This movie is about an hour and 45 minutes long. It is a black and white film, being from 1936, so it is an older film. It's one of 10 films, I believe, 10 dance films that Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers did together. If I did my studying correctly. This was a pretty fun, like, dance singing number. It's a comedy, so it's kind of fun, and it's got a lot of good dancing in it. The movie starts out with Fred Astaire, Lucky, about to marry Margaret, when his dance troupe gets upset with him for deciding he's going to retire and not dance with them anymore. They basically are being selfish and don't want him to not earn them money anymore. So they decide to trick him into getting his pants altered and then start a game of craps. And first off, the fact that he's, working or having a show like an hour before he's getting married is kind of crazy in today's times. But, this was the 1930s, so there's no telling what it was like back then. But they take his pants, they trick him into thinking that his pants need changes, need to have cuffs put on them because that's the style nowadays. You can't get married without having cuffs. So Pop, who is played by Victor Moore, and is a magician and kind of a trickster, takes his pants to get them altered. The shop will not alter them, so Pop ends up bringing them back. In the meantime, Margaret's father calls tries to call Lucky. That phone call ends up getting intercepted by somebody else. He calls off the whole wedding, tells them that they sent everybody home. Lucky doesn't hear this until Pop ends up coming back with the pants. Lucky goes off, tries to go to the wedding. He ends up going to Margaret's house, and this is when they make the deal about the $25,000, which is in the synopsis, and makes a deal that he'll come up with $25,000 to show that he's worthy of her. Now during this, since all the guys know what's going on, the dance troupe, they bet him that he's not going to get married, which he takes because he doesn't know that any of this has happened. So when he comes back and decides he's going to go to New York to try to make it big and make this $25,000, they take all of his money when he gets to the train station because he lost the bet. They leave him with just his lucky quarter, which isn't enough to get a ticket on the train. So him and Pop stow away, I guess. Best word I can think of for that, on the first freight train to New York. When they arrive, they run into Penny, who is played by Ginger Rogers, and Lucky trades his lucky quarter for change so that he can buy Pop some cigarettes. When they get cigarettes out, or when they get cigarettes out of the machine, it dumps a bunch of other change. So they try to trade back the penny for, or try to trade back for Lucky's lucky quarter. Penny doesn't want to have anything to do with it, so Pop kind of tricks it and steals the quarter back. Penny doesn't like this, so she blames Lucky for that, for stealing a quarter. He figures out who she is, so he goes to the dance studio that she works at to apologize, and ends up taking a lesson with her. And in order to apologize, he acts like he can't dance at all, and makes a fool of himself. And at the end of his little charade, she tells him to save his money, and when she does that, her boss fires her for being rude. And Lucky also fires her friend, Mabel, who is played by Helen Broderick, who is also pretty common in this, for blaming Pop for eating her sandwich, which Pop did eat her sandwich, but they both get fired. Lucky talks to the manager and says, "Oh, you can't fire her. She taught me how to dance," and then proceeds to get up and do a big dance number with Penny, showing that he can actually dance and that he's a very good dancer, and kind of shows off that they're very good, and ends up setting up an audition with a local nightclub for the two to perform. Pop and Lucky go to check in at a hotel where Helen, or Mabel, and Penny live at. Lucky tries to win a tuxedo in by gambling, and he loses, which causes them to miss the audition. So he pickets outside of Mabel and Penny's apartment for, what does it say, a week, until she forgives him and they get another audition. When they get to the audition, the musician or the orchestra won't play for them because the leader of the orchestra actually wants to marry Penny and doesn't want to see her dance with anybody else. And he doesn't have to anyway because his contract was lost to the to a casino in a bet as well. There's a lot of gambling away things in this. It's interesting. There's a lot of gambling back and forth of different things. So Lucky decides to go try to win back that contract. As he's winning, the Pop warns him that he's about to make the $25,000, so he immediately stops playing so that he doesn't have to go back and marry Margaret, because he's kind of like, he's almost afraid to, that he doesn't want to, because he's kind of falling for Penny at this point. But he still hasn't told her that he's engaged, so there's this whole kind of dynamic going on. At the same time, the casino owner and kind of the management of the casino is seeing what's going on and how much he's winning, so they come over to try to get him to stop. Don't get him to stop playing, but get him to stop winning so much of their money and kind of put it back into the house, because obviously they don't want to lose the money. So they end up betting for the contract again. Lucky says he'll put up all of his money for the contract. And Pop ends up cheating because he says that he sees that the casino owner is going to cheat, so he ends up cheating for Lucky. Which Lucky doesn't know this, but Pop does it for him. He ends up sliding the card, does a sleight of hand with the card. And they win back the contract. So they start, they become dance partners. They end up going on a little trip up to a house where Lucky and Penny don't, or Lucky doesn't want to be alone with Penny. He still hasn't told her that he's engaged. They have a little number together out in the snow where they sing a little bit to each other. And then Pop lets it slip that he's actually engaged. Penny gets upset. Then after that, they go back. Mabel tells Penny that she should go give Lucky a kiss. That's what she would do. And they end up kissing in his dressing room after that. Then there's a big dance number. This dance number is a little bit... this dance number is controversial. The reason this dance number is controversial is because Fred Astaire dresses up in blackface, which in the 30s was not a big deal. Today is a problem. This movie has not played in a lot of places, or has not played in a lot of places because of this. From what I've read, it was supposed to be a tribute to, the number is called Bojangles of Harlem, which is supposed to be a tribute to Bill Bojangles Robinson, who was a big-time tap dancer, actor, and singer of the time. And it was also to Fred Astaire's mentor, who was John Bubbles, who was also a black tap dancer and vaudevillian of that time. So it is supposed to be a tribute to them. Still doesn't make it okay. But there is a long sequence of a dance where he is in blackface, which actually took them 3 days to film, because there is a section of it where he is dancing with a shadow of himself, which is interesting. And it took them, like I said, 3 days to shoot, which is kind of cool. It's interesting how they did that. So they said they filmed it by shooting a spotlight on him, tripling it, and then he danced in front of it while looking at a playback of it so that he could do the same move so that it looked like it was three shadows of him, which is really interesting. But that's one of the probably the main problem with this movie. But anyway, after that, the casino owner finds out that Pop is a magician and can do sleight of hand, and figures out that he was tricked into losing the orchestra. He decides to do another. He confronts Lucky about this. Lucky doesn't know, but he ends up having to play him again for the contract of the orchestra. Ends up losing the orchestra back to the casino, which means he basically loses his job of dancing in that again. And at the same time, his fiancée shows up. He tells her that he'll talk to her tomorrow because there's a lot going on. And he tells Penny that he basically can't be with her because of everything that's going on. So she goes off and immediately gets engaged to the orchestra lead, who has been asking her several times. And when Lucky goes and finds her, he sees them just after they've been engaged, and they have a big dance number together. in the room with nobody in there, to the song Never Gonna Dance. He basically says he's never gonna dance. She asks, can the woman you're in love with dance? He says, of course she can. And he says, no, your future wife. He says, I don't know, I'll never dance again because I've danced with you. So, and they have their big dance number, and then they go their separate ways. The next day, which this is a quick engagement in marriage, but the next day he goes to meet his fiancée, who informs him that she's going to marry somebody else because she knows them better, and that's what she wanted to tell him. So there's just this whole, he can't stop laughing at the whole thing. He's ecstatic because he's in love with Penny. He can't stop laughing. Pop can't stop laughing. And Mabel can't stop laughing either. So they're all just laughing about this. They end up, they run down, especially since they now know that that Penny's getting married that day. They all run down to try to stop the wedding. And they end up playing the same trouser trick on the orchestra leader. And Penny ends up calling off the wedding because she's been swept off her feet by Lucky. And that's where the story ends. That's it. Fun dance movie. Dance and singing. This was a very fun film. I did like it. The blackface threw me off. I did not expect that. I will say that. Obviously, I don't condone that. I don't like that. But it was a very good movie. I will say this one was done in 1936. There was a couple weeks ago we watched A Night at the Opera, which is another comedy. It's obviously not a. It's kind of a musical. Like, there's a lot of singing in it and music in it. It was the Marx Brothers film that has a lot of singing in it. The singing and music in this was a lot better done and a lot easier to listen to because it didn't sound so off. For some reason, to me, in A Night at the Opera, it sounded like screeching, like it was so loud and almost obnoxious whenever they went to sing. Not that they weren't good singers, but the volume of it, like the way that it changed and it sounded like it was blowing out everything whenever they sang. This sounded more natural and it sounded better. So I will say that it seemed a lot better. It sounded a lot better. The video looked a lot better than that, which is amazing for just a year difference. So I don't know if that's just the different production houses, what they used. I don't know the difference of those, but this one was a very fun film. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are amazing at dancing together. Obviously, they did, like I said, from what I found, they did 10 films together like this. I did think it was interesting. They apparently did that Never Gonna Dance, that last scene. They did 47 takes in one day, and Ginger Rogers, her feet ended up bleeding because of it, which would suck. I can't imagine I can't dance, obviously. Well, not obviously, you don't know that, but I can't dance. Can't imagine doing something like that. And, just walking around people, a lot of people's feet hurt if you walk around a lot. I can't imagine doing the spins and dancing and stuff like that. Yeah, no thanks. I'll pass. Yeah, I'll pass. This was a lot of fun. I would recommend this for anybody. Like I said, just know that there's going to be if you find it, that there's going to be a somewhat significant section of somebody in blackface in it. But it is other than that, it was a very good dancing and singing movie. It is a fun movie. So I think that is it for this week. Next week, Sophie's Choice. never seen that. And I know it's a popular one. I'm actually kind of surprised it's as low on this list as it is. But, yeah, that'll be next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and I will talk to you then.